Running any long distance race, a marathon, an ultra marathon, is extremely hard on your body. It's much harder than what you do in training because what you're doing now is you're pushing the very limit of what your body is capable. Training for a race is important, but recovering from your race is just as important, and this is what we're going to talk about today. Today I'm discussing about the steps that I take after an ultra marathon so that I'm able to go back to training as soon as possible and that the damage to my body is as minimum as possible. What I'm going to share with you is how my body felt in the minutes, hours, and days after my last 100-mile ultra marathon, and also how I was able to recover quickly so that I could race another 100-mile 2 weeks later. After 3 minutes, feeling good sitting down. But yeah, after 10 minutes, your legs really tighten up. My Achilles are super sore. I need food, but I can't really drink or eat right now, so just laying down will feel pretty good. 15 minutes after the race, it's time to change. There's a little bit, spasming, pressing need. I feel one of them is I really want to brush and floss. I really want to change my clothes. It's not just physical need that you have after an ultra, it's also emotional need. Hello, my love. Hi, Simon here. Welcome to my channel. I've been racing 100-mile ultramarathon on average every month for more than 2.5 years now. Recovery is one of the most important things for me to be able to keep going months after months, sometimes going as little as 1 week between 2 races. So how do I do that? Well, there's really no secret, and I have a video about rest and recovery. But today what I wanted to do is give you a specific example. So I recorded myself in the second, minute, hours, and weeks and days right after Zion Ultramarathon 100-mile. And although we're all different and we're gonna recover differently, and even yourself, you won't feel the same after every single event. But I think there's really 3 main phases. The first one is the acute phase, it's kind of the urgent needs. The second one is kind of a more the midterm, where you still have a lot of pain, where you're still not fully functional, but you're better than the acute phase. And finally is more what I would actually call the recovery. It's a little bit more of the long term. You're able to walk around, and now you can include much more active recovery, and you should start thinking about how do I get back into training. Today we're talking about what happens to your body after a race. Now I think that's quite interesting because we talk a lot about what your body goes through during an ultra marathon, but rarely about what happens afterwards. And personally, yeah, sure, I struggle during a race and it's painful, it's not always fun. But what I really don't like is what happens after a race. It can be very painful, especially the first 2 days for me. I just feel like shit. It's painful, I can barely walk, and it's not glamorous. It's not a sexy topic, it's just reality. And as you know on my channel, I try to be as transparent as possible. So I want to bring you along after my last race, Zion Ultramarathon 100-mile. Zion specifically, the recovery turned out to be pretty fast. It was so good that I was able to run Mount Fuji 100-mile 2 weeks afterwards, which is a very fast turnaround. But I felt that my body was recovering quickly. And honestly, when I was filming myself, I was hoping that I would be one of those recovery that was a little longer, so that there would be more things to think about. But things happen fairly quickly, but it doesn't mean that it's always like that for me. After 3 minutes, feeling good sitting down. But yeah, after 10 minutes, your legs really tighten up. My Achilles are super sore. And the most urgent is definitely to get rehydrated and to lay down. I was getting tight a little bit and it was a little bit loud, and I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna rest in the car. I need food, but I can't really drink or eat right now, so just laying down will feel pretty good. 15 minutes after the race, it's time to change. Feet look pretty okay. My legs are, I don't know if we can see it, but there's a little bit, spasming. Sporadically, that could be a disbalance in electrolytes. I really need to drink something with salt. But in the pressing need, I feel one of them is I really want to brush and floss. I really want to change my clothes. and I really want to lay down, but I know my legs will just tighten up. It'll be super uncomfortable. Sometimes when your feet hurt, it feels good to like move the finger like this. It's like ticklish a little bit, like giving some feeling back. I'm totally drained now. I actually don't even know if I could walk. I've been too lazy to actually change, but I think by the next update, I'll change. I'm sitting next to Nora, so it's not just physical need that you have after an ultra, it's also emotional need. Hello, my love. And sleepy need. My heart rate is, oh yeah, that's actually interesting. My heart rate is finally down to 50. Well, it took a while. It stayed in the 100 for a while. Well, that's good. I'm really resting now and I could really, I think, sleep. But it would be good to eat. It would be good to drink. There's so many things you want to do after a race like that. And your body is just like, bleh. I don't want to do anything. But at the same time, bleh, I want everything. So I'm trying to sleep, but I don't think it's gonna happen. I lay like that, and then this side of my quads gets super painful, and then I need to move them like this, and then like this, and like this. It's just so tight. It's bad, and it's spasming still, of course. Let's see if we can see it. A little bit. Oh yeah, it's happening. But yeah, it feels like that, but everywhere. Especially on my side here of my quad. Feels like a massage would help, but it's also kind of inflamed, or I don't know, it's hot. Haven't eaten yet. Barely drank. That's probably the next step now. I was able to sleep a little bit. And of course I dusty like that. Your throat gets very sore because of the dust, so it's very dry. But I was also able to drink a little bit protein, so chocolate milk. My heart is beating fast and hard. It does that for a little bit after a race. I feel hot too. My legs are in cycle. Right now they feel good, but soon they will tighten up. So this is the unglamorous part of ultra running so much, which is car. And Nara is kind enough to be driving today despite racing yesterday. We'll share the load, and I introduced a pit stop to In-N-Out. I'm feeling finally hungry. My muscles are just super sore and super tight. I need to move my legs all the time, but mostly I feel like hunger now, hunger and thirsty, which is good. Like my body is finally understanding that it's okay. It's all over. It's all over. Food was really good. Now I'm sleepy. It's been 7 hours. My body's feeling pretty good right now. My Achilles are getting tight, my knees getting tight, but overall I'm feeling pretty good. Maybe it's because I'm not walking, we've been sitting the whole time. The food really hit the spot. I'm feeling really good and energized now. I just noticed I have pretty good suntan. Let's see if it lasts after the shower though. So we're gonna have an early night. After the initial phase, the acute phase of the cramping and everything, now it's much better. My muscles are sore. It's difficult to walk. I either walk like a grandma or a penguin. You pick. Oh yeah, one tip is to have a drink close to your bed, something with calories, so because you can get really thirsty and hungry the first night, and you don't want to get up because you're gonna be all tight. So in the acute phase, we're talking about the second, the minute, and the hours after a race. You have extremely urgent needs that need to be met right now. Calm down your heart, calm down your breathing. You're probably dehydrated. You might have GI issue, but at the same time, you might be hungry. So very short term, the first few things is just sitting down, calming yourself, drink if you can, eat if you can. But very often for myself, in the minutes after a race, I'm not really able to do neither of those. And although I was super sleepy before, now I'm not able to sleep anymore. I'm still hyped up that it's not happening. But as time goes by, maybe an hour, 2 hours, now the hunger comes. And the hunger strikes very hard. You burn so many calories, and even though you were eating a lot, most likely you're in pretty severe calorie deficit, and your body needs to repair itself, the muscle. So it's not just the energy you burn, but also the muscle that you've used so much. So it's good to have big meals, and I keep drinking, providing the raw material for my body to build itself back up as soon as possible. And in the first few hours, it's going to be a mix of me trying to eat something, maybe drinking some Coke, laying down, trying to sleep. But the muscle, it feels that your mind is saying, all right, we're finally done. And your body is like, oh, good. Now it's recovery phase. When I laid down at Zion, I was trying to sleep, but I have some muscle spasm, especially in my calves. I'll try to sleep, and sometimes I'll be able to fall asleep almost immediately. But within 30 seconds, 1 minute, 5 minutes, I'll wake up with cramps or pain in my legs. And it just feels that there's no position that is comfortable. And it's almost worrisome. Like it feels like something is wrong, but it's not necessarily that something is wrong. It's just that your muscles are very hurt, and movement helps. I think massaging would help. That's not necessarily something that I do because I just try to fall asleep. You're so desperate to sleep, but you're also absolutely unable to sleep. And the hunger comes too, but if you had GI issue, you'll be very hungry, but potentially also nauseated. You want to eat, but also you don't want to eat, which is a weird feeling. And depending when you finished, eventually you can finally find a bed and try to sleep. And for me, the first time I'm actually able to sleep, that's where I kind of mark the end of the acute phase.
We're entering the phase that I would call the smoking penguin.
Perhaps this is what makes penguins one of the most lovable animals on the planet, the waddle.
Though they look like a funny little mess when they're walking on land, they actually are using their momentum and their side-to-side shuffling to help them get going.
So while that waddle might not look so graceful, it's actually very efficient.
They have an 80% recovery rate when they are actually using their waddle. So they're using 80% less energy than they otherwise would by using just a regular gait.
Which is characterized by clearing your throat, and I'm not doing it to joke right now. All the dust I think needs some time to get out. I had a very good night's sleep. I felt pretty good. Did wake up in the night to have a little bit of food and have a little bit of drink. Everything is easy to eat or drink now, so the kind of initial phase of I can't sleep, I can't eat, I can't drink is over. Now it's very easy. But it's not so easy to walk, and my voice is a little bit We go back to work though. That's the worst part. Working the day after an ultra. And I'm feeling much better. I probably actually sound much better. The stairs are still my enemy, but maybe not my worst enemy. Sleep-wise, I didn't sleep so much because I had to work. And then I worked on the movie, the journal vlog. You should have a look. Until 2 a.m. And before that, we had a new Buckle Up podcast episode that you should look it up with Coach Brian. I still feel pretty sore, particularly in my calves and my quads, but my joints themselves are much better. Not 100%. It would feel risky to go for a run right now, but it feels good. I think that the little bit of cycling that I did yesterday and the sauna and the massage that I did in the sauna were pretty helpful. I feel that I've passed the biggest kind of dramatic moment, and now we're going more into slowly ramping up training. Not running quite yet, but feeling pretty good. Usually it takes me at least 2 more days to feel the way I feel right now. It's really not too bad. Sometimes what you see is socks are able to compress a little bit and you see a huge difference, and that's usually because it's swollen. It's going faster than usual, so usually at this point I would still be getting over the walking penguin or the smoking penguin, but right now I'm feeling very good. not as strong in terms of running, but yesterday I actually went to the gym, did 4 miles on the treadmill, 9-minute mile. It felt fine. So it's good to see I'm bouncing back quickly. I definitely feel a little bit of achiness in my ankles. Nothing dramatic, but it's definitely not 100%. And muscle-wise, it's the big muscle that are still feeling a little bit beat up. Mostly the calves, mostly my left quad. I'm going back to eating normal, but I'm still sleeping more than usual. I had a pretty good night of sleep yesterday actually, which probably helped a lot me being able to run the stairs.
Just taking a little walk during my lunch break. I don't know, it helps me to move my legs a little bit. I'm feeling pretty good, but sitting all day is not great in general, but especially in the week after a race. I like my hip flexor get tight, everything get tight, but I'm feeling pretty good. It's just too bad that the one time I decided to film and document the recovery process after a race, it's absolutely abnormal and it went faster than usual by 3-4 days. So that's not typical, or it is exactly like that usually, but it's dragged over more days. This mid phase, I think you know you're in it when you feel that you're walking like a penguin a little bit. Yes, I probably slept a lot of hours, but I'm still so dead tired afterwards. The appetite is still there. I still want to eat all the time and I still want to sleep all the time. If it's a particularly difficult race, I might also feel kind of in the cloud or underwater. It's hard to describe it, but you're there, but you're not fully there. You're not as sharp, you're not as witty, you're not as quick. But very quickly in the days following that, you see improvement. And I think it feels good to see that improvement. So I even try myself to be aware of how much better can I walk. And things that can be particularly difficult is going up and down the stairs. So how much do I need to lean on the ramp? And you see the progression day to day. And I think it's a phase where it's still difficult to detect an injury. In the acute phase, unless you broke a bone or something, it's very hard to know if you have an injury because a lot of things are hurting. And what hurts the most, it's not necessarily what would be an injury. Sometimes yes, but sometimes no. In the subacute, what you need to look for is things that are not improving at all. And what will happen is it's an injury, so it's going to stay kind of stable with the pain, but every other pain goes down. And now you notice, it's interesting, like I had a lot of pain in my knees and my ankle, but now it's mostly gone, except for that one. And that's an early sign of injury, and you need to be particularly aware and particularly careful with that. In terms of how you can help recover faster, movement is good, blood flow is good, but I'll usually start with heat for the muscle. So sauna sometimes I feel is really helpful. If I feel that my recovery is good and my joints are feeling good, the sauna with some massaging, some stretching feels like it's going to activate the blood flow in the muscle, and that's going to be helpful. The next step to activating blood flow is active recovery. And depending how you feel in mid stage, it might be too early to do actual sport, but don't be too shy on walking a little bit or moving a little bit. I think the worst, and unfortunately my work is like that, the worst is to be sitting down all the time. Last thing that I think is really important in that phase is I really try to sleep as much as I can and eat as much as I want. I don't try to count my calories. I don't try to eat anything specific. Yeah, sure, in theory, you should want to have protein, but I really try in that phase to just listen to my body. If I feel like eating something, I'm going to eat it. Before diving further in my recovery, if you appreciate this video, please leave a thumbs up. I understand that this is not the most glamorous topic, but I hope you appreciate the transparency as to what you actually go through because you ran an ultramarathon. Obviously, I'm on my way to work. That's just the real life of the average. The average mid-packer, which is I'm not opening every morning a new pair of shoes, brand new shoes from Nike that did it specially for me. Every morning what I do is I just go to work. Okay, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Okay, so it's been 4 days, which is approximately the amount of time where I start forgetting about the race. We're past the acute phase, we're even past the soreness phase. But I think that's where it's actually pretty dangerous, and like if there's anything you should remember from the whole thing is that actually recovery is important. But if there's two things you should remember, okay, it's that the acute phase is pretty obvious because you have so much pain that your body will scream at you to rest. But now it's in the phase where I feel almost normal. And in fact, yesterday I went for a run, a 6-mile run, and at first I wanted to just do a 10-minute mile. I was like, you know, I can go faster, 9:30, 9, 8:30, 8. I think I went up to a 7:30-minute mile, which is, for me, it's a fast pace. It's a really fast pace on a treadmill. And I felt fine-ish. But this morning I feel some achiness in my Achilles, both of them. It's not injured, but that's not how I would feel after a run like that normally. And that's really because you feel like you're fine before actually being fine. Now the phase is, you think you recovered, but you're not. The last phase is kind of the long phase. The long phase, it's even hard to know when exactly it ends. But for me, it starts when I'm able to go jogging again. I'm not 100% back yet though. We're still within the after race. We're still within recovery. It's a time to slowly ramp up, but not for training, but instead just for moving. So instead of just going for little walks, now I'm gonna be doing things like jogs. I'm gonna be potentially cycling, just really activating these muscles. And I don't push my body to the extreme, but I want to test it a little bit. I'm gonna go for 2 miles. How did that feel? Okay, tomorrow I'm doing 4. We're testing how far can we go to see when it's time to actually start back training. But I'm not able to produce a full-on race effort until a certain time. And that one is really tough to actually feel, but because at some point you feel perfectly normal. And I'm not able to say how long it takes, but for me, it's probably more than a month. And that's why running 100 miles every month on average is kind of tricky, because you're never at 100%. And that means you need to just, this is the best you could do, just do a little bit less. Oh yeah, and in this kind of longer recovery phase, I think that's when you get back to eating normally, you get back to sleeping normally. Food, for example, you need to be a little bit more aware, because after a big race like that, you'll have a huge appetite, and that can last for a very long time. And how to get back in training specifically, like I said, you push your limit a little bit. And for me, when I'm able to run an 8 or 10 mile at 9 or 10 minute mile, which is kind of a slow-ish pace, but not the slowest for me, that's when I feel, okay, now I can finally get back to my normal training. But I would recommend that the first week is not a full week. If you've seen my video about how to make a training plan, I would recommend that this first week after the mid phase, so when you're able to do like a 10 mile or something like that, have a half week. So the half mileage, which is the recovery week typically. And that will really be a way for you to truly test, okay, like, can I really switch it on next week or not? And you should tell, and you should listen to yourself. If it feels like it's a stretch, take more time in recovery. There's really no rush to getting back to training. And I think that's the message I really want to emphasize, is a lot of people get really nervous when they stop training. It's scary because you're so used to training all the time, and you've put so much effort into getting where you are right now that you don't want to degrade because you're not training. But you're not degrading in terms of fitness nearly as fast as you think. I think the worst thing that you can do is to get back to training too fast, risk injuries, and anyway not having a productive workout. So it's better to take a few more days or even a few more weeks to get back to normal and to get back to being able to work out properly. And for that, you need to listen to yourself. The timing that I mentioned, 1 week, that's for me. That's what works. And I'm really listening to myself. Sometimes I will take more. Sometimes I will take less. So listen to yourself. And if it feels that it's too early, don't do it. Don't feel the pressure to go out as soon as possible back to training. You're not saving your fitness by going back to training too quickly. What you're doing is you're risking it. As I mentioned at the beginning, running 100 mile is very mental too. You'll have to push your limits and you will go through a roller coaster of emotion. So it's not just physical that you'll be hurt, but mentally. And the emotion that you could go through, for example, it could be excitement. You could be very proud of what you've accomplished, but you could also be disappointed. Maybe you DNF'd, maybe you didn't do the time you would want to do, maybe you have an injuries. So dealing with these emotions is actually pretty difficult sometimes. So you have to be mindful of that. You have to be able to understand where you're at in terms of mental space and act appropriately. Do you need to be kinder to yourself? Accept that, yes, things didn't go as planned, but you did your best and not feel bad about yourself. Or potentially you're becoming a little bit complacent. You're maybe not pushing as hard. You've accomplished this big goal and now you're a couch potato again. The whole trail running, ultra running journey is about fitness. It's about the commitment to yourself. It's about growing. And once you've accomplished a goal, that's great. But I don't think you should go back to your prior self. I think it's good and important once you've had a little more time to kind of process everything that has happened, to reflect back first on what has been your journey when you start training all the way to what you've done now. You've accomplished something incredible. And it's good to take time to celebrate. It's good to take time to take a breather. But at the same time, it's good to get back into good habits. And we can face sometimes like kind of a blues or kind of a, I don't know, darker mood or almost running depression after a big event. You've committed so much to doing that. And now it's in the past. And now there's nothing. And now the motivation to go running or to train is not there anymore. And I think for me, the way to fight that, well, it's pretty simple, is I always have a next event. I always have something to look forward to, something that will motivate me and that will drive me to push in training and to get back to it as soon as my body is ready for it. But sometimes what can happen is the polar opposite. You know, during the race, very often we think, oh my God, I'm never doing that again. It's so painful. It's so difficult. I'm never doing that again. And then 2 or 3 days later, credit card in hand, you're on ultra sign up and you sign up for a new race. And I think that's also something that you need to be careful about because you're excited about it. You know, you're kind of pumped up. You have all the adrenaline. You feel so good about your accomplishment. I feel that I could do better. I could do better than I did because now I've learned a few things. I think it's good to kind of hold up. Is this a smart decision? Do you have enough time to train? Do you have enough time to heal? And of course, I'm the worst example for that, right? Like I know I'm the worst example, but I do try to be careful about what I signed up for. And I do try to take like a minute or two, well, more like a day or two. I think there's a place for you being bold about these decisions, but there's also a place to self-reflect and be honest about, is that a smart decision? So in conclusion, I hope it was helpful, my recovery after Zion, but also spiel about how I think about the recovery phase, acute, subacute, and then long-term, and how you're progressively getting back into training, but not too fast. Going in too fast is the best way to get injured, is the best way to not recover properly. So listen to yourself, take your time to recover properly, and don't necessarily freak out, especially in the acute phase. If everything hurts and it feels like you're dying, you're probably not. It's in the mid phase that you really need to look out for signs of injuries. That's where you will know if there's an injury or not. And if there is an injury, don't rush getting back into training. I would advise instead, go see a physiotherapist, talk with other runners that might have similar injuries. I hope that was helpful. If it was helpful, please leave a thumbs up and see you next time.